What's up guys, it's Spiderwolf back for another JJKPhantomparade video. So today we're going to win over the new Toge here, or the new Inumaki Toge. But before we get started, I greatly appreciate you guys drop a like, comment, subscribe. It would really help me out trying to get 1,000 subscribers. But with that being said, let's get into this. So we got a brand new Toge Inumaki coming in with a brand new event, and also we have a new recollection mech coming in. Funny thing though, the one on his banner is actually pretty shit, but the one on the vent's actually pretty good. So make sure you grind that up. So here's the new event we're going to be getting: Grand Extra Sim Battle, Abandoned Village Arc. And basically, it's the usual, you do your couple stages, basically. It's a map event, then you have a couple bosses you gotta fight, and yada yada yada. We do get a multi for Toge, and we get basically another free 10 roll for whatever you want to spend that on. So pretty cool stuff, and overall general rewards. And then only these two will be on rate up for the event, so basically you just want to use the free-to-play one to get you extra increased costs of the event currency, and one not to clear out the shop. Now, going to the tier list here, Inumaki is actually an S tier a red DPS character, so he's pretty good. He's not the best, but he's not too bad, right? Because the best are like Mei, we got Yuta, we got Toge, and then we got the red Nobara once she gets her buffs, right? And you unlock all the SP potential and all that. So these are all like the main better red DPS characters, but he's not too bad either for what he does. So let's take a look as to why he's only S tier and why he's not like super high, but also why he's not like completely bad, right? So he's 50-50, leaning more towards Jujutsu for his stats here. No characteristic and no black flash. So skill 1 here, pop. At level 1, you deal 97 Jujutsu damage to one enemy, and if the selected enemy has any curse speech counts, additionally deals 100 Jujutsu damage to selected enemy. And then the more counts you have basically on the enemy, the greater the damage. So 50% extra Jujutsu damage per count, up to 300 at 6. That's pretty good. Okay. So they have 6 counts basically of this curse speech debuff. Then they basically take an additional 300 damage, which is pretty cool. And then if a powerful enemy is targeted with a skill, so basically like any bosses basically, sacrifices 3% of own HP. Otherwise, you're only sacrificing 1.5 of your own HP, but you can't die from that. Kind of interesting though, if it's a boss, he cuts more of his HP down, but if it's not a boss, then he only cuts his HP by like half of that, by half 3%. Not too sure why that's the case, but I'm assuming we'll find out later on. Maybe he has like an HP threshold where it's like the lower his HP is, maybe he does more damage. And then at level 10, you're dealing 150 base damage, Jujutsu damage. But the Jujutsu from the curse speech part doesn't increase or decrease at all. Now, skill 2 here, don't move, it costs 30 curse energy. You stun the enemy one turn at a 95% chance, so that might get increased. And then increase the selected enemy's physical and Jujutsu damage received by 20% for 2 turns. Only for red types though, so that kind of sucks a little bit, but that's still a nice debuff there. And if a powerful enemy is selected by this target, or by this skill, then you sacrifice your 8% of your own HP, otherwise it's 3%. And then fills all allies ultimate gauge by 124 except himself. Honestly, not too bad. That's pretty good. Now level 10, we're looking at 156 chance to stun the enemy, so that's really good. The downside though is that it does cost 30 curse energy, so you won't be able to get this off super consistently compared to like the the R version, which is a lot better for that. And then the increased damage received to the enemy from Jutsu and physical is going to be increased to 40% now. And then you're now actually increasing everybody's ultimate gauge by 214 instead of 124. So very good. Skill 2 definitely looks like a skill you definitely want to level up if you guys do get him, or if you guys are planning to get him. And then at level 8 though, it's a 142 chance, still not too bad. 35% chance of increased damage received. And then 194 for ultimate skill gauge, which honestly still not too bad either. Now skill 3 here, raw. Level 1 here also costs 15 curse energy, so a lot less than the skill 2 here. You're dealing 177 Jujutsu damage to all enemies, so AoE. Inflicts curse speech on all enemies, 5 turns of 1 count, so curse speech lasts for 5 turns. And if a powerful enemy is targeted by this skill, additionally inflict curse speech on all enemies for an additional 2 counts, so you can get up to 3 counts if there's a boss on the field. I just don't know if the boss will also, actually yeah, the boss will probably also get the 3 counts as well. And then if a powerful enemy is selected, you sacrifice 6% of your own HP. Otherwise, if there's no bosses, it's going to be 2.5 basically. Or a powerful enemy, whatever counts as that. And then at level 10, you're looking at 300 Jutsu AoE damage to all enemies. And then that's pretty much it. And then at level 8, it's 272, so still pretty good damage numbers. Kind of funny that this one does less, uses less curse energy compared to skill 2 here. But at the same time, right, skill 2 probably is like a couple different, like stun and the debuff, so that's probably why. I think it's the stun is the reason why it costs so much, most likely. But yeah, honestly, pretty good damaging skill here. And then this skill 3 is going to help you, inflict these curse speeches very quickly. I think it's the only thing that actually inflicts it too, unless he has something in his passives that also inflicts it. Now his ultimate here, split level 1. You increase your Jujutsu stat by 27% for one time. So literally only when you do the ultimate, and only for the ultimate. Then you're dealing 563 Jutsu damage to all enemies, so another AoE move here, but it's limited ultimate, so that's pretty good. And if the enemy has any cursed speech counts, additionally, deals 100% of Jutsu damage to select enemy, and then the more they have, the more damage they take. So this time it's 66% extra Jutsu damage, up to 600% at 9 counts, so that's very, very good. But you do remove 6 counts from all enemies, so if you do have the full 9, then you get at least 3 on the following turn, basically, so it's still pretty good. Now, for powerful enemies targeted by this skill, you do sacrifice 10% of your own HP, which is the most out of all the skills here. But then if there's no bosses, you're only sacrificing 4.5 of your own HP. And then you increase your own cursed energy consumption efficiency by 3 turns, which is really good. So if you do get the full 9 stacks, then you'll be able to basically use your skill 3 or skill 2 if you want to. Now, at level 10, you're increasing your own Jujutsu stat by 50% instead of 27, so extra 30% almost. And now you're dealing 1,000 Jutsu damage to all enemies, which is a lot better than 500. So you're dealing an extra 500 damage there. And then pretty much everything else stays the same. So yeah, overall, very, very good. And then at level 8, you're doing 45 Jutsu stat increase and 900 Jutsu damage to all enemies. So very, very good. This guy basically only does Jutsu, even though he technically has like even though his stats are kind of split, middle of the road. He does do more stuff with Jutsu here. Alright, but yeah, pretty cool stuff there. And then the Koma ultimate here is that he increases his own and the allies' HP by 11% here. Or recover, so he heals himself and the ally by a little bit. And then you actually deal some AoE damage, and then you fill everybody's ultimate gauge by 110, so not too bad. And then we have actually one auto skill here called Throat Medicine. At the start of each turn, recovers own HP by 10% at a 50% chance, so not too bad. Yeah, it's sort of interesting that there's no mechanics going on with him reducing with him like having lower HP. I guess it's just more so of like a gimmick of the character Toge. Whenever he does attack, he technically hurts himself a little bit. So that's probably what it probably is, just like a gimmick of the character. Like, oh yeah, since he technically hurt himself, that's why this is included in here. But kind of sucks. There's no like extra benefit. Maybe in the future they can buff him to like, have a benefit where it's like, oh, the lower his HP is maybe, then the more damage he can get or something. But yeah, honestly, not too bad of a decent of a DPS character. Not doing a whole lot, but able to inflict a lot of AoE damage. That's something that's pretty cool, At least he's a pretty good AoE damaging unit, and he has a nice stun there. The only thing is that's not super consistent. But anyways, let's head over to the recollection bit tier list here to see what they're going to be looking like. So we have the one on Toge's banner here, this one right here. This one's going to be a damaging one, and it's going to be physical focused, and it's a B tier, so it kind of sucks. So if you guys don't get it, don't worry about it, it's not that good. And then the one from the actual event is a support one, and it's a S tier offensive one, so another really, really good one. So we'll be taking a look at those right now. So here's the one from the banner. It's called Cat Rescue. It might be changed a little bit on global though, because sometimes the names can be a little bit different from the wiki and on global release. Now this one's only Jujutsu focus, which is kind of weird because apparently it was slapped into the Taijutsu one, so that's a bit weird, or physical damage. So let's see. So when you do any skill or ultimate, so if you do anything, basically, increase own Jutsu stat by 30% for 2 turns and recovers own HP by 10%. Okay, I think someone, when they put it into the tier list, they meant to put it in the Jujutsu tier and they just forgot, I guess. That's a bit funny. Unless these are supposed to be flip-flop, but I'm pretty sure since Toge does Jutsu damage, it's supposed to be Jutsu. So I think this is supposed to be B tier for Jutsu, not Taijutsu, so a little bit funny there. So you basically the skill you get out of it is you increase your own Jutsu stat by 30% for 2 turns and you recover your own HP by 10%. So very decent, you get some heal out of it, you get decent damage boost out of it, but nothing that crazy to be honest. But at the same time, it is a 5-turn cooldown, so I guess that's cool. And then if you get 1 dupe into it, at the start of the battle, it increases all enemies' continuous damage received by 10% for 1 turn, reactivates after every 4th turn, or every 4 turns elapsed in battle. Okay, so that's basically so if you have any DOT characters like Junpei or whatever, basically they'll take extra 10% from that. That could be kind of good in some situations, I think, because it is like one of the first ones I've seen at least, where there's like increased DOT damage. So that's pretty interesting there. So Junpei might actually have benefit from this. And then if you get it like fully duped or 3 dupes into it, now you're getting an increased Jutsu stat by 40%, but the healing stays the same. So a very decent one. I mean, it's an option, I guess, if you want to run that, but not something that I would like recommend to like go and invest into, so, or chase after. Definitely not something you need to chase after. Now here's the one from the event, Bonds of Cooperation. This one is a lot better. Apparently it is a 50-50, so if you do anything, skill or ultimate, Increase all his damage dealt by 10% for 2 turns one time. So if you do any skill or ultimate that one time, then it'll be used up there. And then you grant conceal status to self for 2 turns. That's actually very good. Okay. And then a one dupe at the start of battle, grant innovation status to self for 2 turns. So very basically what Momo does, because Momo, if you guys don't know, the SR Green Momo, she does a lot of stuff with evasion. So they're implementing that into this, which is kind of cool. And then if you get it with 3 dupes, then you're increasing everybody's damage by 50%, and then everything else stays the same. So honestly, not too bad. So basically you get a nice 15% damage increase for all allies for one attack they can do, and then you're able to inflict a lot of evasion, or not a lot, but like a decent amount of evasion for your whatever support you want to put this on, so they can't really be targeted by anything that's single target. So very, very cool stuff here. Definitely a really good recollection, as you guys can see. You know, it is a in the S tier slot for a reason. But yeah, very cool stuff. So with that being said, with your guys' summons, you know, he's not a crazy character, so you know, I wouldn't say worry about getting him or not. But if you guys get him, cool. He's not a bad character to level up. Pretty good red DPS. And if you don't, no need to worry about it. There's plenty of other great options here. But with that being said, though, guys, I'm gonna see all you guys later. Peace and take care, everybody.